There is no way I can talk about the Solo Yolo and Skullface going home with $100,000 without addressing this. Now, I saw some weird inflated outrage online at the internet that Sage had opted to throw away his Gulag because he had already won big in the tournament as a global champion and decided to give Skullface an opportunity to win his Gulag, go in with a free pass, and try to win the Solo Yolo. There's been a weird negative energy about this online, which I think has been really surprising because everybody who was competing in this tournament, myself included, thought it was insane that a player as good as Sage, somebody who was definitely capable of winning the Solo Yolo if he wanted to, threw away an opportunity to give somebody else a shot. That's really, really impressive, and it's something that I think none of us probably would have done. Bearing in mind, again, Sage and Skullface are not on the same team. Sage has already won $100,000 on the day with his teammates for winning the global finals, and just decided to give Skullface a chance in the Gulag. And what's made this so interesting is that pretty much everybody at the tournament universally agrees that it's actually just a really cool thing to do, and they respect it. And also just that it was not a given that Skullface was going to win the Solo Yolo. Winning the Solo Yolo is literally a 1 in 150 chance. Even if he had won the Gulag, or lost the Gulag, or whatever it so happens to be, the chances of you then being able to go on and proceed to win the game is already, infinitesimal. It's really, really hard to do it. But without further ado, I'm going to talk about the Solo Yolo, the one game in Warzone history where finishing second place hurts as much as finishing dead last. In fact, it probably hurts more. I did say to a lot of people at the global finals that I would rather finish 150th than finish second. But shout out to Breadman. He got a little bit unlucky. He's a really nice guy, by the way, having met him in person now. And he's just a smiley, happy dude. He didn't let it get him down, and he had a good day at the tournament. But Skullface winning the Solo Yolo. How did it all throw down? How did it happen? Well, today I wanted to break it down for you and show you all the crazy strategies that people attempted for the solo. The Solo Yolo was undoubtedly characterized by four things. First was LTVs, second was riot shields, third was hiding, and the fourth was risk. These were the big things that ended up making huge plays in the Solo Yolo. So much so that when I tried to land for an LTV in the Solo Yolo, I think about 20 people contested a single vehicle. At one point towards the end circles, the LTVs ended up having, I think, like 3 or 4 different LTV trucks in the final circle, and the reason for that was very clear. In a Solo Yolo, there is no coordination between players, meaning that nobody would be willing on a grand scheme of things to challenge an LTV by themselves unless they have a one-shot sniper rifle. That would be the only efficient way to deal with an LTV, or maybe even try and use an RPG, but both of those tended to be in short supply. So for the most part, LTVs were left alone. It wasn't worth shooting it wasn't worth giving away your location to try and challenge an LTV, and chances are you weren't going to get the kill. So a lot of those were a big part, and it also meant that you were primarily kept safe if you were in an LTV, and really you didn't really have to fight anybody except for stay on your toes and stay away from the competition. Because in the grand scheme of things in the Solo Yolo, there was kind of no benefit to fighting because you're trying to win the game. The next was obviously riot shields, and in the event that you actually do have to fight somebody, a riot shield is a sure way to stay alive, especially on LAN, where the hit reg is fairly crispy, there isn't any weird latency problems, and you shouldn't have some of the weird dodgy deaths that you would conventionally get with a riot shield on the internet. Combine that with stun grenades and the fact that you can use throwing knives, then you have a pretty good loadout. And although Breadman got really close with a riot shield, it was a universal strategy that most players used. Especially if you happen to go into a building, you just happen to have somebody jump out at you. It's a good way of staying alive and allowing to level yourself off before re-engaging. The third is obviously hiding. Big hiding. Hiding everywhere. Hide and seek is the name of the game. Like I mentioned before, there was pretty much zero benefit to fighting other players in the Solo Yolo because the ultimate goal is to win the game. It's not about giving away your position, getting the most kills. It's about who is alive at the very end of the game. So for the most part, it was people hiding in towers, hiding in caves, hiding in tunnel systems, and I got killed by somebody who was hiding in a maintenance tunnel. And that is just the name of the game. There's just no point really in the grand scheme of things, challenging opponents, making fights happen, giving away your position, or potentially even losing vital resources like lethal grenades, tactical grenades, self-revives, or airstrikes before those final critical circles. And the final and biggest element was risk. Who had the cojones, the balls, to make the risky play? Whether that was risking challenging for an LTV when 20 people are landing on it, whether that was risking climbing up a ladder in the end circle like Skullface and Hisoka both did, or this 100 IQ play from Breadman where he ran into the gas, used his gas mask and stims to try and let people kill each other off before he was one of the last few people alive. Those last big risks are basically what defines the World Series of Warzone Solo Yolo, because without risk, you will not place well. If you're not willing to try and get into the best position, if you're not willing to try something a little bit crazy, then chances are you're probably not going to end up in a winning scenario. I mean, going on top of a pipeline with multiple people alive is quite literally the definition of crazy, especially when that pipeline has been airstriked twice already and killed off Hisoka in the process. So Skullface taking that pipeline on a last minute risk just to see how it would go, and then not only doing that, but challenging two separate players at the same time is an insane level of risk. It's something that only a player who is fully confident in what they're doing would do. Now, without a doubt, the Solo Yolo is something that can define high-skill players, and Skullface is definitely somebody who fits that category, and Breadman as well, who finished second. But if I'm being brutally honest with you, a lot of it is luck as well. Sometimes in Call of Duty, whether that's in solos, trios, quads, or any kind of competitive environment, you just get unlucky. That is something that can happen. There were lots of players who made really good plays, had LTVs in the final circle, had the resources to make things happen, and whether it was just the fact that two people focused on them at the same time, or they just happened to get hit by an airstrike or happened to get hit by a grenade, bad luck is a symptom of the World Series and a symptom of the Solo Yolo. I'm really curious to see your thoughts and feelings on the Solo Yolo below. I honestly don't care about the whole Sage Skullface Gulag scenario, and I don't think any of the competitors there really cared at all. But I'm curious to see, how would you play it? What do you think would be your winning strategy? And how would you try to win a Solo Yolo lobby with 150 of the world's best players? What do you think's the smart play, and what do you think's the bad play? Let me know down in the comment section below, folks, and as always, thank you for watching, thank you for subscribing. We've got lots of content coming over the next couple of weeks, including the Haunting of Verdansk, all of that. Oh, I just said the Haunting of Verdansk. Oh my god, it's the Haunting of Al Mazrah. Things have changed, maps have changed. Nevertheless, the Haunting event is back across Al Mazrah and Vondel, and we also have the Modern Warfare 3 beta, and I've been lucky enough to be invited over to LA to go and play Modern Warfare 3 early at Call of Duty Next. So if you don't want to miss any of that content, hit that subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and I'll see you in the next one.